undefeated coming into last week. And Splyce as well, they really want to build themselves a position where they can actually meet the success of last split, finishing as a top 3 team. But right now, they're not a top 3 team. They've got 3 wins in total. That's not really that good, honestly.
As you said, they're very good in a limbo competition, and getting under the bar they set for themselves.
Exactly.
Not the best in the EU LCS. Mundo ban, Galio ban, Heimerdinger ban from Giants, Nocturne as well. Nothing too surprising thus far. Maybe the Galio is a little bit out there, but Giants do like to run that on Betsy.
And is this going to be an Aatrox last ban for Giants, or are we going to be playing with fire again?
I really hope we are.
I hope we are as well.
Officio predicted that Aatrox would be banned every game, and then he didn't get banned, and people lost with him, and people won with him. And every time we can rub something into Officio's face, I think we need to do that.
That's fine, and I don't think I can really talk too much rubbish about predictions, seeing as I'm worse than Twitter at predicting. It's a warm-up split, what can I say?
But Twitter's got like a million minds going towards it. You only have one mind.
And that's debatable.
That is incredibly debatable. Giants are going to get rid of Aatrox as their final ban. Splyce looking for their first pick here. A litany of opportunity for them.
We'll see if the Zoe gets any kind of priority here in the draft as well, because we know Nisqy likes playing Zoe, and not only that, but Kasing loves it too, and hey, there it is. There's the Zoe lock-in for that first pick. Probably one of the best of the standard mid laners going around right now.
I think so as well. Like, it's so easy to play into a poke composition,
bloody hell,
pick composition, as you say. Very quick locks here from Giants. Rumble going to be picked up alongside the Kindred for Djoko.
Aggressive lock-ins as well, and I'm really happy to see this Kindred lock-in, because what I like about this Kindred pick is she is one of the better junglers on this patch. She's been seeing huge amount of plays across all leagues, really. And she is definitely one of those, I want to fight and be more of a carry type of junglers, rather than these tank junglers, and we're seeing that matched over the other side as well with the Camille from Xerxe, which could be Odoamne's Camille. It could be, but Xerxe plays it a lot, so it's most likely going to be that jungle.
Expect to see it in the jungle, but I'm liking this from our junglers, as you say. More skirmish heavy, more aggressive. It's what we want to see from these two teams who are defined by their junglers. Talon gets locked in as the final pick for Betsy here. Will be the first time he plays that in the EU LCS this split.
And this could function if that smite does stay, which I'm expecting it to, similarly to how we saw the Aatrox mid lane being played last week as well, where you take that smite, you get the level 2 right off the get-go, right from that first chicken camp that you nick from your jungler, and then you have great control over pushing that mid lane in, grabbing those crabs, and also securing some jungle camps for yourself as well, which allows you to facilitate a heavy roam style that Talon really loves to play with.
And it gets you out of the lane with Zoe as well, which is so important when you're playing into that mid lane. And now, second phase of bans, we're still looking down towards that bottom lane probably. The Gragas here is an interesting pick, because it can be played top, can be played support as well, or even in the jungle if you want to.
Absolutely, and that's where I'm not expecting this Camille Gragas to be flexed in any way, but it could be a top Gragas Camille jungle or top Camille Gragas jungle. And like you mentioned, there are some little potential support picks here. I mean, well, Kasing has played even the Zoe support, so Splyce is certainly holding their cards close to their chest, but maybe not so close that Giants might be able to peek over and see what's going down, or use their intuition to know what's happening.
Maybe do something with mirrors.
Or do something that'll get kicked out of a casino.
Exactly.
Is how
counting bans as they go through. Fiddlesticks is the next ban here from Giants. I expect them to play safer bottom lane, something like the Ezreal for Steeelback. They've got damage across the rest of the map, so they don't actually need a heavy damage bot laner, but you never know in this current meta.
Absolutely, and we might even get something like a Lucian coming through from one of these two teams, because we have seen more of a prominence on that pick to get more of an aggressive bot lane going down. Like Hans Summer likes the Lucian pick, and like you mentioned, we could go for something more safe.
Well, Morgana is very safe if you want to take it as the bot laner. Could also be the supporter.
It could be. This Morgana could exactly be like that, and they could kind of do Kindred carry comp, which I'm not a huge fan of it, honestly, but they could absolutely do that. But again, this is nice because it doesn't show too much to Splyce, and theirs could potentially be hovering the Lucian there.
You can never talk about hovers.
Yeah, no, I can't. But he was hovering through different AD carries, which shows at least that they're going for this standard AD carry bot lane, and I think we're going to be seeing more of that as time progresses, especially with the next patch coming in as well. A lot of buffs coming through to these AD carry itemizations. We're not on that patch right now, though.
No, it's still on 8.13.
Still on 8.13, but still, I feel like more teams are getting more comfortable with almost like an old playstyle, if that makes sense. It's like they forgot how to play it, and now they're like, wait, actually, let's just go back to how we were playing before and start picking AD carries in that bot lane.
And Splyce were always the team at the start of last split that needed that hyper-scaling AD carry really to make anything work. They played the Caitlyn Zillion a lot of the time. Throughout this split, when they found success, it's been more about playing those traditional AD carries, those marksmen in the bottom lane. That's what they're doing here. They have an aggressive top side of the map, so we need to see how that develops as the game goes along. There's the Ezreal as well for Giants, so it is going to be a support Morgana in this case.
As you predicted, Medic, good job, mate. You should be the color.
You predicted the Zoe first pick, though, so
That's true.
We balanced it out. One prediction each for the pick and pick.
All right, one each. Not bad for 10 total. 2 out of 10 is not bad.
We didn't try to predict all of the rest of them. I'm saying we got 2 out of 2. That's 100%.
All right, for all attempts that we went for, that's actually a good shout.
The British duo is working out well.
Yeah, we're doing absolutely solid. An absolute corker of a game this is going to be.
And I didn't expect you to say corker. That's
really?
something I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah. Really? Belter?
Belter is a good one as well.
Yeah?
That's true, yeah.
Can I say that, or are you going to get lost in translation?
You can say corker, you can say belter.
Okay.
I've been out of England for a little while, but it's only been about a year, so I can still hang down with the British folk, you know?
Oh gosh, you sound like my dad.
Yep.
All right, let's move swiftly on from that one, shall we, Papa Medic?
So let's talk about the early game, and especially the junglers. We said they both want to be aggressive. You've got Camille against Kindred.
Yeah.
If you were playing this matchup, which side would you want to be on? You could choose.
Yeah,
Do you want to be the Camille or the Kindred?
If I were going to choose, I prefer to be the Camille because I really like playing around a Zoe. I think playing around Zoe is just like playing with cheats, honestly. You just fire out that sleepy bubble trouble and then you just jump in, and Camille's really good at doing that, and Xerxe loves playing this Camille as well. I think these comps right here, if you are on Splyce's side, you can kind of say, all right, Gragas, do your thing in that top lane, you're against a Rumble, just don't die and you'll be fine, basically. And then you just got to contain that Talon a little bit. That's the only thing that if I were to say I'd rather be on Giant's side is that I don't have to play versus a mid Talon. If there's one thing that is really annoying to play against, it's a heavy roamer in that mid lane, especially an assassin clearing out your chickens and then suddenly, oh, there's Talon and you're dead.
Very difficult to play into if you do get caught out, and that's exactly what Giants will be trying to do, find those early skirmishes. Vedius talked about it last week, Djoko and Memento. Djoko very good at being able to find these early skirmishes, and now we'll have to see if Giants will play around that. Early on, though, do we expect any invades? We talked about the Razorbeak possible steal away by the Talon.
I didn't say Razorbeak.
Sorry, you said the chickens.
That's how they're called, baby. That's the best name for them. I don't know why anyone calls them anything else.
Because the name is chickens. The Razorbeaks or the Raptors. Raptors is cool, though, because I imagine Jurassic Park, right? And it's like you're stalking around the corner, and then the big raptor comes around. It's like, oh, is it that clever girl?
What about that dinosaur who's got like an umbrella for his head? Do you know that one?
I know the one you're talking about.
Who eats the guy in the toilet?
That's Tyrannosaurus Rex eats the guy in the toilet, doesn't it?
I'm not sure.
Just chomp down on him?
It's been a while.
It has been a long time since I watched Jurassic Park.
Either way, no Tyrannosauruses or toilets in this game.
Yes.
So we can move swiftly on from that one and talk. I can answer your initial question, as I've derailed everything as I tend to do by talking nonsense and just being absolutely rubbish in general. How about...
I think you're great.
Thanks, mate.
That's right.
Thank you, Mum. How about we go and, like you said, how about I predict that Giants are going to... Oh, crap, that's Splyce, not Giants.
That's a great prediction on the invade there from Splyce. They do get spotted out by the ward, so they know 3 members of Splyce are here. Ruin's set up towards the top side of this bush, but looks like the red buff is just going to be stolen away by Splyce.
Which is absolutely fine if you are from Giants, because the Giants are going to see this, and because they have that information, they can just say, all right, you take our red buff, I'll take your red buff. So we'll see Djoko pathing from his blue over to his red. The great thing about Kindred as well is you can hop over that dragon wall, as we're about to see from him. Oh, this is cheeky as well. Betsy doesn't actually start at the chicken camp. He's going to go and nick it from the other team. That's actually a really smart adaptation, because when you have that smite mid, that's what that invade was for. The Splyce invade was to see Talon starting at that chicken camp and stop him from getting that early level 2.
Xerxe coming in for the gank. Betsy does have to flash away. Xerxe able to get something from starting on the top side.
He gets the flash, but he is quite far behind as far as jungle camps go, because Djoko is now going to pick up his 3rd camp, including 2 buffs, plus a mark on this crab, and Xerxe's only done 1. He's also going to finish up this crab 2 as well. But either way, advantage Giants as far as the experience goes. We'll have to see whether or not from Splyce's side, if they get anything extra from this flash being on cooldown from Betsy, then obviously this early pressure will be worth it.
Xerxe is the one that's doing the ganking in the early game. Djoko just trying to scale up on that Kindred. If Xerxe can get on towards Ruin here, that's another flash he could burn, but instead says, okay, I need another buff. I need to go and get my 3rd camp of the game, and we'll go towards his blue.
Yeah, he has to be really cautious, like we were mentioning. Like, You don't want to fall really far behind as far as your jungle experience goes. And Djoko, 20 CS, level 3. Xerxe, level 2. Just hits level 3 off that camp. Yep. That's really... He has to be careful if he's going to go for those intense ganks. But let's take a look at the bot lane as well and the way that's playing out. Because Kai'Sa in the lane phase isn't quite so good at winning these 2v2s. He's not the best, basically. Yep. Kai'Sa wants to scale. But Ez can put that pressure out along with Morgana, and if Giants want to win this game, a lot of it will come down to how their bot lane plays.
You have super strong push from the Ezreal Morgana, don't you? You've got the Tormented Soil, the W from the Morgana. Ezreal can just continually harass the wave as well, and Kobbe, until he gets a couple of items, the Acacian main won't be able to clear the wave well, has to wait on the attack speed for the Plasma as well. So what we'll see is Giants pushing in the wave, Splyce having to answer, but as long as Splyce plays safe, they won't really mind about this lane at all. They don't mind scaling up, they don't mind waiting for the Ezreal to go back, get his tier, get his Shen, and start scaling up a little bit. Yeah,
exactly, and that's just why you want to try and make it so that you do use that advantage, like you're mentioning, the stronger push, a little bit of poke coming through as well, if you can land that, to try and get that bonus over the enemy team. If you are Giants.
You definitely do. After beating G2 last week, they'll be wanting to continue their fine form. 2-6. The last win they got before last week was against H2K, so a long time ago.
Does that even count?
I mean, everyone gets a free one, you know? It's the little freebie you get in the packet. But Giants, if they can take down Splyce today, will definitely send a message that they have come to the EU LCS party, albeit about 5 weeks late.
A tad late, but a Wizard always arrives. Yeah. Went something about on time when he wants.
That was good, yeah. A wizard is never late.
Yes,
he writes exactly what it means to.
I was almost, I think that's basically what I said.
Yeah, you were very close. Very close.
Almost word for word. I actually worked on the set, you know. I flew over to New Zealand.
Really?
Yep. And I wrote the scripts.
Oh, wow.
And I remember it to this day.
Oh, yeah.
As you can see.
I'm glad they used the abridged version.
Yeah, they made some amendments to my suggestions, but just a few.
Okay, so let's have a look at what our next points of contention are here, because Djoko has got a mark on the chickens on the blue side. So Splyce's chickens were marked, but they've been cleared out, which means he can't go for his next mark. There's an Ocean Drake on the board. He's still a little bit ahead in terms of experience over Xerxe, but Xerxe has been able to get some of that back. And Betsy's flash is still on cooldown, so a lot of opportunities for both of these junglers.
Absolutely, and thus far you have to think it's a bit of a stalemate as far as this jungle matchup goes. Which works in the favor of Giants and of Djoko, because Djoko wants to scale. He wants to get into that late game, get those marks going as well, and as more of a carry-focused champion, he's also very good with items. So the later the game goes on, the happier he'll be. But we might see a dive coming through onto Ruin. He's all by himself here.
Ruin underneath the tower by himself. Nisqy and Xerxe there. The flash away isn't going to be enough. Explosive cast to the wall and burst blood to Splyce.
Absolutely nothing you could do in that situation if you're ruined. Just completely, well, ruined by 3 members of Splyce. A really nice roam by Nisqy there as well. Will be answered by this dragon, but a bit of a kind of strange moment, I would say, being able to roam up top there with Betsy on this Talon, who you're really looking for those kind of plays out of him rather than out of the Zoe specifically. But well coordinated play there, nice dive, and giving that kill over to the Zoe really solid.
And once again, it's Xerxe who's the key linchpin for that gank. You can see when his team wins, he is the catalyst for them. Gets high kills and assists at the 15-minute mark, high jungle proximity, which means he's near his laners, and he's ahead in gold at the 15-minute mark. When he loses, or when the team loses, he's not doing that. So this is a good sign for Splyce.
It's an really good sign when you get that jungler rolling early, and Xerxe from the spring split. We were saying this guy's a really, really good jungler, maybe one of the best junglers in EU, and that wasn't just because people were making stuff up, it's because he's, funnily enough, actually a good jungler. So when he does get online and when he makes these plays happen, finds his footing a little bit, which has been a bit of a struggle thus far in the summer split. Question now is, how do you go from 1 assist and 1 kill and 1 dive into turning this into that plus 500 gold lead like you were seeing?
Well, you know who would be a good person to answer such a question, Foxdrop?
Who's
a
that?
jungle main who does educational videos. If only we had one of those on the desk.
I heard people like that are extremely handsome.
They are. They're incredibly handsome. But how do you actually translate that? And how, when you're behind, like Djoko is here, do you translate that into some sort of advantage? Maybe with a gank on Nisqy in the mid lane, pops the redemption he got from the W, and we'll just walk away. But you can see Djoko in week 4 had an incredible performance for his team.
Really, really solid play. And Djoko's been one of these players who's been... Oh, let's start talking about Djoko.
Joko's going to jump in with the killer instinct as well. Steeelback dodging away. Kobbe ignites enough, and Nukeslot gets the kill for Giants. Kasing dodging away from the binding there as well. Xerxe's on his way, but
level 6 Xerxe.
Have the wall dive if you want to go in. Decides against it for the moment.
I mean, we talked about the 2v2 in that bot lane and how Giants really want to be able to use that, the poke, the pressure, and nice binding from Nisqy. That's absolutely not his name.
You're close enough. Close. Once again, it's the Lord of the Rings script thing.
Yeah.
You get it close and we'll abridge it and we'll edit it.
One of these days I'll get paid for my script work, but as thus far, definitely shouldn't give up my day job. But nice 2v2 in the bot lane, and here we go, another in the mid.
Yeah, Betsy just pops the ultimate straight away and walks his way away. Shadow Assault gets him to safety.
And that cooldown is pretty low, honestly. One of the more frustrating things about playing versus the Talon is he's quite slippery to gank, and I'm very good at jumping in on you. So let's take a look at how this one happened in the bot lane. Kobbe just steps a little bit too far forward, and honestly, there's not too much to break down about this one. You can't tank a Morgana binding. There's a lot of damage coming out of this 2v2, and the worst thing is that this level 5 Shen is really not that good at stopping that damage coming through from you and saving you in that situation. If you get caught and your Shen can't ult you, you're probably just going to die, as you saw there.
And especially since our AD carries are taking teleport now, it means that you don't have the heal to keep yourself alive in that sort of situation. You're a little bit squishier.
But it does mean when you die, you come back and you don't lose as much.
That's true. That's true. You don't lose as much experience, or the CS to the tower is good from Giants, though, because we talked about earlier how they have the push pressure in that bottom lane, how they'd be able to make plays. They've been able to do that, get that kill on the board, and they have about a 400 gold lead now.
400 gold lead. It's the start of something, but can it be transitioned into something a little bit more? Djoko is really that person that I'm looking at, because as we move forward into this game, I feel like a lot more is going to come onto him. The spotlight will be shifted onto him and his plays, because so far he's not been able to do too much. In fact, he's sitting at 0-0. So how about
not too much at all?
Yeah, not too much at all, really. But that doesn't mean that this pick has been nullified and is useless and all that stuff. You don't really pick the Kindred to be able to do things at this stage of the game, and he is looking to go for an invade with his mid laner here, roaming around, looking into that bot side. Important to note that Betsy has a 2-level lead on Nisqy here.
Got that 20 CS advantage as well. You can see we talked about the ability of Talon to roam. They're coming down towards the bottom lane. Kasing and Kobbe caught out. Teleport used straight away. Double taunt is superb from Kasing, and he puts down the Spirit's Refuge as well. Soul Shackles will catch out Kobbe. He's the first to fall in the fight. Djoko gets one. Meanwhile, in the midst of it all, the Gragas picks up one himself as well. But Odo and Nisqy are turning this around for Giants. Xerxe's on his way down as well. Ruin cannot teleport into the fight, and Nukeslot will get taken out by Nisqy. There's Xerxe on the backline. Steeelback in no man's land. No escape from Camille, and no escape from Splyce.
4 for 2 in the favor of Splyce, considering that was all started by Giants. Not the best play there. Too aggressive on the dive, considering you know that your top lane doesn't have that teleport, and that was the big difference there when Odoamne joined in. Also a very good soft counter into the Kindred ultimate. That ulti comes down to buy you some time, you bop everyone out of it, suddenly you can start picking up some more kills. Giants, they're not done with their aggressive plays just yet.
Ruin doesn't have ultimate here, though, so Kasing and Kobbe
maybe they are done with it.
Yeah, I think they're done with them now. After Ruin's like, oh, do a little bit of damage. Has the teleport if he wants to go back down towards that bottom lane, but you could see they didn't... Yeah, Splyce didn't even really lose any tempo in that top lane, any advantage, because they were able to double TP up there with the AD carry and with the support.
And it's a bit of an opportunity wasted, really, when you have that 2-level lead on your mid laner. You should be able to get these roams going in your favor, because your mid laner is so much stronger than the enemy mid. But when you don't have that extra player, because he doesn't have TP, then, you know, it kind of just ruins that whole extra advantage that you gained for yourself from those levels. And as you saw, it doesn't quite work out for Giants.
However,
Giants
have just taken the first tower of the game. They are still 1,000 gold lead ahead. Yes, the dive wasn't properly executed, but they have still been able to find some advantages in this early game. Yes, Djoko is probably a little bit behind now, still only sitting, I think, on 1 mark on that Kindred, and you've got a scaling Nisqy on the other side who can take half of your Morgana's health. But if you're a Giants fan, not yet should you be too worried.
No, that wasn't a play that's just thrown the whole game away or anything like that. It's just Giants were given an invitation to the party and they showed up in socks and sandals. It's basically how I would describe that play.
That's fashionable, isn't it?
Again, you sound like my dad there, mate.
Betsy jumping into Odoamne here. Xerxe off towards the side as well. Shadow Assault popped. Odo will keep himself safe with the cask. It is an Infernal Drake these teams are fighting for. Djoko is the one tanking it up right now. Nisqy off towards the side as well. Sleepy Trouble Bubble's not going to connect, and the smite from Nisqy! We saw him do it in Rift Rivals, he does it here again, and Splyce just come in to wipe Giants off the map. Nisqy gets away, jumps back in for a little bit more, and Splyce come out huge. 2
kills and the Dragon in favor of Splyce. And why do we go for these 50-50 Dragon plays? I feel like it's just...
How is it 50-50 when it's a Zoe? She doesn't even have smite,
yeah, that's fair.
How tilted would you be as that jungler if Zoe walks up to you and is like, nah, fam?
Yeah. Oh, God. I can't imagine someone looking like Zoe saying that to me, but either way, to be fair, I would be terrified if she did. But it just seems too risky. You know, like, you don't have to go for that play. It feels unnecessary for you to have to force that right in the face of the enemy team, and whereas Zoe did take that one, Xerxe was on the way too. And we see it's quite low, but they're not, it's like they're in 2 minds about going for this one. 700, 600, was that, what even happened there?
I thought it was a smite, but maybe it was a Sleepy Trouble Bubble that connected as well. I didn't actually quite see it out. Something stole it away.
Either way, it's just risky, you know, like, put yourself under that pressure. To be fair, Giants do a good job of being able to disengage from that fight, but they still lose 2 people, and you could see in the replay that Steeelback wasn't even really hitting the Dragon there. It felt like some people on Giants wanted to go for it, others didn't want to go for it. And to be honest, it's the same in solo queue. Sometimes you don't have to necessarily make the best decision, you just have to go for one decision, but all go for the same one. And you see the risk of kind of splitting up in that. It doesn't work for you. And also why you ban Zoe.
I always say follow the teammate that's dying the most, because if you're there with him, he's less likely to die.
What if you are that teammate?
Well, then people should follow me.
Okay. Yeah. But can you follow yourself?
Echo can.
That's actually a good shout.
Yeah, there we go. Support Echo coming to a Summoner's Rift near you pretty soon. Giants going to start up the Rift Herald here. They have lost that 1,000 gold advantage they had. They are 7-3 down at the 15-minute mark, and we talked about how Splyce, when Xerxe gets ahead, tend to win games. Well, he's 2-0-2 this game, and he's looking to come in on this fight. Kasing there, nukes a lot, teleport coming in behind the wall. Betsy up towards the side, has the flank on if he can get in. Kasing taunts away, but here comes Ruin. There's the equalizer put to sleep. Nisqy gets him, Xerxe gets the kill. Betsy on the back line, can he get the Zoe? That's 1 down, and this might be the fight the Giants need because Betsy's still alive. A great explosive cast from Odo, but in the midst of it all, Giants keep themselves alive with a Lamb's Respite, and now Splyce are running for the hills. Superb fight from Giants. Djoko gets Kasing with the red smite, pops the Rift Herald as well, just for a little bit of extra bonus measures, and they will get the tower in the mid lane.
And that was the reverse of the play that Splyce made earlier in this game. Odoamne was the one who didn't have his teleport there. Ruin teleporting into a team fight. If you know that that teleport coming down is from a rumble and you're in one of those small enclosed spaces, just get the hell out of there. Do not take that fight. And Giants, this is their team comp really shining. Sort of more like a small skirmish than a huge team fight, and they're able to pick people off left, right, and center. And look at that gold lead now, and let's see it happen again. So this teleport coming down from Rumble is the key right here. He's not going to last too long, but he gets that equalizer down, and that's the most important thing, because then when Betsy's doing his work on the backside, when you've got a great Morgana ultimate to combo with the red carpet as well, and just the damage coming through, while most importantly, you do not have your top laner there from Splyce, because he doesn't have his teleport. So it's essentially a 5v4 in a spot that really suits Giants. Splyce, you just got to be careful in that situation, and respect that play as well.
You can see the damage numbers from there, monumental from Giants. Yeah. Nisqy just didn't have the time to poke, didn't have the time to get that extra damage down with the paddle stars. And Giants now, as you say, the gold lead has extended to about 3,500 gold.
Absolutely, and even though the damage coming out of Rumble in that team fight wasn't the highest, this is what's so good about this champion. You put that equalizer down, you just split the whole map in that sense. You know, you can't walk on it. If you're Splyce, you avoid the red carpet, but then what happens next? Suddenly you just separated that whole fight, and it zones half of Splyce away from the rest of the team, and then it splits the fight up and makes Giants do what they just did.
Both these top laners only played Rumble last week as well, so these are pure Rumble stats, and you can see Ruin slightly better last week, definitely better this week as well, as he came into the middle of that team fight. His stat line might not show it, but he has been incredibly impactful for the team this game. Steeelback also, we noticed, had a 2,000 gold lead over Kobbe on these traditional AD carries. So he is scaling up, has finished that Manny Moon, building towards a Trinity Force next.
And that's the thing, is that right now, at this stage of the game, both these AD carries are just looking for that second item. Man immune from Ez and the Triforce as well. When he has those 2 items, he's really blooming strong. And Kobbe, again, 2-item power spike type of champion. If you've got one of those champions going towards that second item faster, when that hits, suddenly it's going to start exploding. And Giants are in a really good spot right here with this almost 4,000 gold lead. He's just got the Triforce, and now they're going to look to really switch it on. Let's see how they do that.
Mid-game team fights and a Rumble. I can't think of a better combination apart from maybe Fish and Chips.
Fish and Chips is pretty decent.
Pretty decent, you're right.
I have to... You know what? That's actually a tough one. I'm having to think about it.
A cuppa and a biscuit.
Rich tea, I give it to you.
Okay.
I'm
a big fan of a digest.
Digestives are good as well, but with a cup, I prefer the rich tea.
Okay, I can understand that. Better dipping, less meltage usually, or crumblage, I guess you'd call it. Taunt comes out on towards Betsy. There's Kasing gets to safety down towards the bottom lane. But back to tea.
Yes.
Milky, not milky?
When I was younger, more milk. In my old age, pushing 25. Well, how old am I? I don't know. I'm around that age.
Okay, you're oldish.
Yeah. I take much less tea. Much less milk, sorry.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A connoisseur of the tea arts and a connoisseur of Dragons for Giants here. They get their second ocean of the game.
And this is their power spikes kicking in here. We've got the 2 items coming out of Betsy as well. We mentioned the Ez already. And Rumble is Rumble. So you group up at this stage, you kind of have to concede objectives if you're Splyce. They can't really run into Giants. The engage itself is pretty sick because you just lay that equalizer down. If you're in a choke point, bam, that's it, it's lights out.
They're kind of running out of things to give up, though. They only have 2 outer turrets remaining. Then you're getting towards inhibitors, which you don't want to give up at the 20-minute mark. Right. And the other objective on the map is going to be Baron in 17 seconds. None of these are things that really you want to give up, because otherwise you may be giving up the game.
Yeah, absolutely. But also from Giants' perspective, Baron is the easier one to get because it's in the middle of the map. From a geographical standpoint, it's easier to get. But it's also where you throw the game. You know, it's really where you've got to be careful. So if we want to look at it from Splyce's standpoint here and how they get back into the game, you're right. They've kind of the blessing of, or the curse is they're losing turrets. The blessing is they have less turrets to lose.
That's true.
So they can kind of just sit back a little bit here and wait till they get to that point where they can actually start having more equal team fights, or where most likely, and this is going to be my extreme prediction, Zoe lands a bubble, someone dies.
Oh, here we go, because it's already been started up. Teleport coming in from Odoamne. Kobbe has the teleport for himself as well. Giants will back off from it. They get 1 teleport out, 2 teleports out actually, and they will accept that for the moment. Looks like Kobbe cancelled his, so that's on a reduced cooldown down towards that bottom lane.
Well, and if you're Giants, that's fine, you take that. You know, you get those teleports off the board, and it means that when you come back to that Baron play in the future, those teleports won't be up. So then Splyce now really only have half of this map to play in, because if you send someone down to the bot side, you open up the Baron. You can't really do that anymore. So we'll see Ruin go into that bot lane because he still has his teleport, hard push this bot lane down, generate some pressure there, and then Giants might honestly just go for a rinse and repeat if they can sweep out the vision around this Baron pit.
What I want to see from Giants is just that the willingness to take a 50-50 to a degree. Like, you don't take a full 50-50.
They already found one of those.
Get some deep vision, but the reason they beat G2 last week was they forced a lot of plays, and 70% of them worked, right? Yes, you'll have the 30% that don't work and lose you the game, but here they have a mid-game team fight heavy composition that needs to force plays. Ruin fighting Odoamne down towards this bottom side, flash away from the explosive cast.
But look at Baron. I mean, that's 2 people in the bot side, and Giants are side of the Baron.
Trying to 2-man it, doesn't work out for them, and Nisqy is dead in the mid lane. That's
that
just
counts as a prediction.
What do you mean?
I said that.
Oh, you
More
did?
likely, it's just going to happen when Zoe gets a CP bubble trap when he's dead.
That is actually a great prediction, Foxdrop. I mean, it's lessened by the fact you had to bring it back up yourself.
I have no shame, mate.
That's true.
You're looking at someone who lost his dignity. Yeah, exactly. You won't believe what happened next. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but...
It's like being an old episode of Match of the Day. It's like, what happens next? Let's have a look.
So there we go. This is going to be Zoe doing Zoe things. Oh, look, it's a safety bubble trouble. Oh, look. Don't tell me that kills him. That is actually disgusting.
He used Ignite, though, so that's 2 summoner spells. He used the Flash as well.
That's through his black shield.
Yeah.
That is honestly vile.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting.
That is actually grim.
Once again, good stuff from Nisqy, who has shown himself as a Zoe specialist. You can see the moment the Giants got ahead, that big team fight that they won, up to about 4,000, but he's been stagnant for the last little while, and they haven't been making these team fights that we wanted to see from them as they were at this 2-item point.
Exactly, and it's stagnating works in Splyce's favor because they're okay just chilling out. Like we saw, they can just get picks here and there, make it difficult for Giants and just really stall this game out. But now, ooh, are we going to get a cheeky face check because they have swept the vision around the Baron. There is actually one ward still in that Baron pit, so Splyce no Baron's not going down.
It might be controlled, though. I would like to see the Baron pit to see
true.
if that ward is being controlled. It's not. Great call on that Foxdrop. That is out of control.
Knew that
ward vision.
I said that.
Man, you have this understanding of the map that surpasses my own knowledge. So
Yeah.
great stuff there. But as we say, the stagnation is good for Splyce. Once again, they've got Nisqy on the Zoe, and he's shown so often that he can make these picks in the late game. He's really been the player that, when Splyce are up against a wall, he's the guy that steps up. He did against Team Liquid, he did against Fnatic. Now we need to see him do it again against Giants.
And look at it, just look at his stat line. He's trying his hardest. 4-1-4 in a game where your team is honestly quite behind this game. They've been playing on the back foot, so finding those windows, those opportunities to get those picks. I mean, it is what Zoe does, but either way, Nisqy does it very well, and this is why they first picked the Zoe. I mean, Giants left it open. They knew it was most likely going to be first picked, and they thought, you know what, pick it. We're not afraid of you. We're not afraid of you, Nisqy, mate. Show us your worst. And, well, he's definitely shown it quite a few times at Sir Nuke's-a-Lot. And this is looking kind of scary so far. Running anywhere near this Zoe. But Giants here, they'd still want to play around this Baron. That's the thing. They still want, this is kind of the key for them, the ticket for them. But they have to do it fast if they want to do it before Odoamne's TP comes up again.
Needs to keep your eyes on that TP cooldown, because that is what Splyce are waiting for, really, and what Giants have to play around. As you say, they need to make a play. They need to do something proactive before that teleport comes back off, because otherwise the next time they start Baron, they'll just have to back away as soon as the teleport's used. So
Exactly.
keep our eyes up towards that top left corner of your screen. It's coming off cooldown relatively soon, and I don't think Giants are going to be able to do anything before then. However, we are starting to get those next completed items on the side of Splyce now. You've got the Abyssal Mask into Iceborne Gauntlet for Odoamne. You've got the Trinity 4 Skirmisher's Saber on Xerxe as well, and Luden's into Morello into Sheen here from Nisqy. So going toward that Lichbane build for a little bit of extra burst potential.
Absolutely, and this is the interesting part of the game right now, is this dragon spawning here. What are Giants going to do about this dragon spawn? Are they going to contest it and try and take it for themselves and start working perhaps towards the Elder Dragon? Or do they use it as a, you're right, Splyce, look, dragon's up, go take dragon, we're going to move over and go towards the Baron. As it looks like
they're doing neither.
It feels like a bit of a wasted opportunity here from Giants. They could have set up something around that top side. They could have maybe baited that Baron, or at least used that time to sweep up the vision, which it looks like they have done at least that, so they do have the vision advantage. But now, I mean, Splyce is going to walk in and take it all away, so I feel like maybe just dropping the ball a little bit there, and that's a worrying sign if you are a Giants fan, because just lacking that kind of decisive action, that decisive play. They're ahead in this game, they're not playing like it.
Totally agree with you, Foxdrop, and we talked about it earlier. We talked about how they won against G2. It was forcing plays. That's exactly what they need to do here. They'll try and get some deep vision in once again, stepping forward as that 4-man. Ruin pushed in the bottom wave, so maybe they have another opportunity at least to burn Odoamne's teleport here. But Ruin's going back to base, so they have to wait for him to actually join up with the team if they want to make a play for the Barons, which is exactly what they're going to do. And who cares about Ruin? We can just start the Baron up straight away.
Ruin does have his teleport if they want to go for this one. It's going down pretty fast.
But Nisqy is on his way as well. Betsy down to half HP. Nisqy jumps in. The paddle star doesn't connect onto Djoko. Spell immune from Nuke's-a-Lot keeps him away from the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. 5,000 on the Baron, and Giants, for what is probably the third or fourth time, start up the Baron, but really get nothing out of it.
But that was cool and collected from Splyce, because if you take a look at Odoamne, he doesn't blow his teleport straight away. He's just been deep pushing this bot lane, just pushing this out, pushing. The whole time Giants were doing that Baron, someone on Splyce was making that call saying, Odoamne, we don't need you. It's fine. They can't do this. We're all good. We're okay pushing them off for this one. And they do get that minor advantage in the bot side. And if you just take a look at Odoamne's build, Abyssal Mask, that gives you extra damage as well, 10% extra magic damage, plus the Frozen Fist, which works as a Sheen effect, plus giving you a bit of tankiness. That is not a Gragas that's going to be just a meat wall, no threat whatsoever. That's a Gragas that's actually going to hurt a decent amount. Plus with all that CDR coming through as well, and trust me, I love playing Gragas. I call, whenever you have this Iceborne Gauntlet, especially if you go Electrocute, call it the bonk build. Because you just push your belly forward, and then you know what happens?
You just bonk?
You bonk. That has to be, by the way, the most satisfying spell in the game, for me.
Yeah,
Gragas W.
Yeah.
100%, without a doubt.
Wait, the W, not the E. You don't,
No, the W.
Oh, interesting.
You're proper bonking.
It's like bonking with the K.
Yeah. And the sound it makes is fully satisfying.
Well, we'll have a listen for it in the next team fight. Giants started up the Baron once again. Xerxe stepping forward here. Nisqy's off towards the side. He's the guy you have to track. Equalizer comes out. Betsy straight onto Kobbe. Flashes away. The heal is enough to keep Kobbe alive for the moment. Meanwhile, on the backline, Odoamne is jumping in. Betsy has to flash away himself. Odo has forced out those members of Giants up towards the top side, and Splyce once again able to come out on top of the fight.
Just about, and Betsy was basically a one-man army in that fight as well. He dove onto the back line, and a lot of resources were pulled onto him, which Betsy will be happy with that. You know, if he's taking 2 or 3 people, fine. Send 2 or 3 people my way. That means that I've got 4 teammates working against 2 of yours.
But the problem is Odoamne was able to 1v4 the rest of the team.
The problem is that didn't happen in the slightest. So, yeah, a little bit not 100%. And honestly, Flash is traded here. Kobbe no Flash, Talon no Flash. Do you think, and I'm going to ask you this question here, I'm going to flip the tables on their heads here, how the turns table. Kobbe.
Tables turn, is that what you were going for?
Nope. Kobbe, I'm a script writer, we've already done this, all right? Kobbe no Flash, Betsy no Flash, who would you prefer?
So I want to add in a proviso here. Okay. Djoko also burnt his Flash and Kasing burnt his Flash.
Well, okay.
So I would go Splyce these 3 flashes remaining over the flashes remaining on Giants, because a flash body slam onto Betsy catches him out, he's done. You can also catch out the Kindred, knock her out of her ultimate if she puts it down.
Yep.
Basically, the disruption's still available for Splyce, overarches any ability to assassinate Kobbe for me.
Yeah, I love, when I said that last phrase, you've given me this look a few times this cast, and sadly you guys at home can't see this, but Medic's giving me a look whenever I say something ridiculous, which funny enough happens quite a lot, where the look says, "Is that your final answer?" It's like, are you sure about that one, fella?
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that, man.
And it's great, looking over at you.
The thing is, like, if we weren't on cast, I'd be saying very different things in response to some of your questions.
Chris Tarrant cosplay sitting here as we're casting together.
Hey. That's a good shit. I agree with that. That's it's the 3rd outer tower here for Splyce. Eventually, we talked about how they don't really have that many more turrets to lose. Yeah. Oh, Giants now, that goldie shrunk to about 2,000. Guess what they're going to do, Foxdrop?
They've been doing the same thing.
Get some vision on the Baron.
Yeah, it seems like, is this the only strategy that they've really... Is this all they really think they have in their pocket? Is this Baron play? I mean, if it is...
You've got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to go for it, but it feels like they haven't... If Baron was really that high priority for them, like it seems like it has been with the way they've been playing, you would think they would be a bit better at executing the strategy, and that's not... Well, that sounds a bit...
That's flame. That is flame.
Well, all right, fine. That sounded a bit
If this is the only thing they practiced, you think they'd be good at it, don't you, Foxdrop?
Well, I mean, I was trying to say it in a nice way, but I'm not being convinced so far. But even if they're not going for the Baron and they're using it for baits like this... Oh!
Odo flash in, but the spell immune on Djoko is perfect there.
Reaction.
So Nuke's got perfect reaction. Teleport coming in from the backside as well to catch out Xerxe. There's the equalizer. Look at the damage on Nisqy. Have to use the standing knife to keep him safe. But Ruin flashes forward. And Giants take out the key carry on Splyce. 1 down. The second follows. Xerxe in the wrong position now as well. Giants will chase him up, and now the Baron has to be in their sights.
Absolutely. But Xerxe being alive does make the Baron play a little bit more risky. So Betsy's going in.
Yeah, Xerxe trading back into him.
Damn.
Oh, no, you don't. Xerxe, king of the jungle.
That's a bit of a tilt right there, and I'm looking over at Betsy. He doesn't look happy whatsoever. Look at him. He's a little bit tilted from that one, as... Honestly, they just put themselves in a situation where they could have really blown this game open for them and taken that lead. And something we've been criticizing them, mostly me, about not doing so far is playing that Baron well and well.
I have the same criticism. Okay, on the same page with that.
Fair enough. I mean, it's just, oof, not 100%. And this is what we wanted to see out of Giants, was when they use that Baron to get better positioning on the map. Odoamne completely fails here, sadly, for his flash body slam. But looking at Ruin, once that binding goes down, I'm looking at him here, I'm thinking, do it, flash that wall, and he does it. Even if he ends up trading his life here, which he doesn't, but let's say he does, it's worth it. You know, you take out the Zoe from this play, and honestly, Zoe's one of the big reasons why you can't go for this Baron if you're Giants, because she fires out these paddle stars over and over and over again, and it just chunks you. If you're Nukeslot, and it's happened already this game, it basically one-shots you. So you have to take Zoe out of the question, and it was great. They did it. Good stuff, Giants. You know, it's like when you make spaghetti and put too much salt on it. It was good with too much bit of int. Everything else about the recipe, I liked it. The components were great. But just take out the int from the end.
Yeah, take out the int at the end. Yeah, it makes sense.
And you've got yourself a banger. But thus far, it's probably something I'd buy from TJ Fridays.
Yeah, just a, you know, a meal that's satisfactory but not as tasty.
It's a meal I describe as like a fuel. Do you know what I mean?
Where it's just a sustenance.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like you're a car and it's your fuel.
I needed the protein.
Yeah.
So I had it. Although spaghetti obviously doesn't give you any protein. Nukes a lot. Spell immune there. The redemption comes out. He will still be alive, but half his health gone with the paddle star.
Oh.
Djoko knocked back into it all. Had the flash available there as well. Nuked by Nisqy.
You've got to be careful. That is the engage and the catch coming out of Odoamne is still something you've got to respect. It's only over his flash. It's a bit inexcusable, really. But having this advantage is probably one of the only times in this kind of mid game that Splyce have had a very clear advantage.
Yeah.
And now, what do they do with it? How do they set this one up? Are they going to go for the Baron or go for more themselves?
That's the problem for me. I think if they go for the Baron, you've still got Equalizer, you've still got Shadow Assault, you've still got Soul Shackles, you've got all these big teamfight ultimates from Giants, and all it takes is one person to get caught out, and you're pretty scuppered in that situation.
Plus, if you're just looking at the risk of a steal, Betsy has Smite. No, he's a mid laner with Smite, so I agree. I would not go for this Baron here personally, but maybe you go and bait the Baron. Maybe you go and set up vision around the Baron and see if Giants come to face check you. And there's the bonk onto the Baron Nashor. Let's see whether it's to start things off.
Well, one bonk or two, that's what Splyce are asking at the moment, trying to catch out Giants as they maybe come in towards this Baron pit. Betsy there. Spotted out on the ward, 5,000 HP left on the Baron. Steeelback and nukes a lot. Ruin coming in. There's the equalizer. Betsy jumps in, but Xerxe is the one to secure it. And now Giants need to run for the hills because Betsy is caught out with the Hexagon made of Kobbe. Jumps forward. Xerxe goes over the wall here as well, but Djoko has rejoined the fight. 1-for-1 trade. Djoko puts down the Lamb's Respite just in case. And the damage comes in from Kobbe from the side.
That was ridiculous damage right there. That just shows, that summarizes Xerxe in a nutshell. One spell goes down and bam, put down that ability that makes it so he can't die. Oh, it seems ridiculous to me. Giants still have this gold lead. They've had so many opportunities where they've been ahead, where they've been in the seed, but they've created picks for themselves. And Splyce did what Giants had 10 chances to do with just that one chance. And even though the smite from Betsy does get into the pit, Xerxe is the one who finishes it off. But I still want to say it's a bit risky for Splyce to have gone for that 50-50 Baron play. I don't even think Xerxe meant to go over the wall there. I think he actually just meant to stun Betsy. But either way, that is ridiculous, by the way.
That's Kobbe.
Yeah, I know. That is
That's
actually
a fully stacked Ginsu's into Void Seeker.
That's probably all just on that whole
2,000 damage from 1W in the middle of the fight.
But I mean, even though Splyce get that, we can be very results-based and say, good job, Splyce. You got the Baron, you got some kills, nicely done. Risky play for me, honestly, there, because it's still a smite fight. It's still a 50-50. Giants very well could have done that. We'd be sitting here thinking, oh, that was such a silly thing for you to do, Splyce. Why'd you do it, you know? I think it's risky. It works out for them. But really, for me, the highlight is Giants.
20 minutes with a 4,000 gold lead.
Why didn't you do that before?
It's just totally swung the other way right now. As you say, I feel like this game is one of those ones where you go home if you win and you say, that was a grind. Yeah. That was not a clean game from us. We have a lot to learn from that game. I'm sure both these teams will look at it and say, we made a huge amount of mistakes in the middle portion of the game, but Splyce have been able to delay, have been able to stall out, have been able to get to this point where they've got 3-4 items. And so often last split, we saw them come back from gold deficits. They were one of the worst early game teams in the league, and still somehow they've eked out a good position in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nisqy on his own has been throwing out paddle star after paddle star at Giants, and even if Splyce win this game, you would have to think that the coach is going to whip out his paddle as well and just say, like, listen, boys, you won, but that ain't good. And we ain't proud about that. And it's slightly disheartening if you're a 3-5 team and you want to actually make it into the playoffs. Yes, you're beating Giants, but it's not clean.
No, not clean at all. As we said, the last time Giants had won before the G2 victory was against only H2K. So a very, very meager offering from them overall. Splyce get the outer towers down, just one left down in that bottom lane. With it, they have finally got a gold lead for the first time in the game, about 500 gold ahead. And alongside Nisqy, I do want to highlight Xerxe, who has had a very good game. His ability to jump onto Betsy at the end of that Baron fight and actually catch him out, meaning that Giants weren't able to take the Baron, really helped Splyce get back into this matchup. His early game was strong. Haven't seen him accelerate it as much as I would have wanted to, but still, Camille play all round, very good.
Absolutely, and he picks his champion a lot, and for good reason. He's good on this Camille pick. And honestly, I feel like Nisqy, Odoamne as well, these players, considering they've been behind in this game, they've all done a really good job of finding those small windows to keep the game stalled out, to stagnate the game was the word you used before. The picks coming through from Nisqy, those barrels coming through from Odoamne as well. And now Splyce are in the driving seat. And this game has kind of been one of those where not much happened for a long time, and now Splyce got a smidgen of a lead, and bam, suddenly they've turned it on. 0 to 60 here, and let's see whether or not they... Oh, yeah, they're doing it.
Flash in straight onto Djoko, caught up in the Lamb's Respite. He puts that down. Ruin here with the Equalizer as well. Xerxe, first of all, goes into the GA. Djoko's still alive. Odo getting shredded. One down, one in response for Splyce, though, and you have to watch Kobbe and Nisqy on that backline, because they are still alive, and here comes Kobbe. Killer instinct flash away from Betsy. Keeps them safe for the moment, but he will have to jump the wall, and the rest of Giants need to get out of here as well. The paddle star from Nisqy. Ruin sacrifices himself for his AD carry.
What a nice guy. That is such a hard team fight to play, and I was watching the Steeelback for most of that fight, and he's not really been able to put out the damage here, and when you compare it to the threats coming through from Splyce, really solid team fight win. And this Kindred, we mentioned this at the beginning of the game as well, it's one of these champions, it's fine if he doesn't do too much in the early game, because as the game goes along, as they scale on, Djoko on this Kindred can have more of that carry potential. But this is not the first time this has happened to him, Medic, where Odoamne jumps on him and just catches him out of position.
And he had the flash again. Like, his inability to react quickly to that Odoamne engage has cost them a couple of times. Elder Drake now going to go over to Splyce as well. 2 dragons on the back of that gives them a hefty 100+ extra damage over that tick duration.
And the worst thing, if you're Giants here, about Splyce getting the Elder Dragon, you know what, I'll come back to this point, mate. Take a look at what's happening in this fight. Djoko just doesn't respect the Gragas engage. That's not the first time we've seen that one. Keep your eyes on Steeelback on the side here. It's kind of like a melee Xerxe versus Talon in the side here, Xerxe versus Betsy. But Steeelback's not getting any damage off in this fight. He's not getting any auto attacks down. Then he flashes out, then he has to run away. And then he gets hit by a Sleepy Bubble Trouble and gets his teammate killed. It's like he's not able to do anything in this fight. And that's honestly, in a situation like that, in a fight like that, that can be the difference. So whether that's on Steeelback specifically, to be able to find a little bit more from himself, or whether it's on his team to be able to enable him, either way, he did have high damage as you saw, but he's an Ed, so it doesn't count. Yeah. But, you know, we just need a little bit more out of this guy.
It's a discussion we've had so many times on the analyst desk in cast. Steeelback, an AD carry that stays alive in fights, but doesn't really contribute that much. And yes, as you say, did a lot of damage, but Ezreal, it's so easy just to land a couple of Qs and you have 800, 900 damage right there. So yes, he's getting some auto attacks in. Yes, he's doing a little bit in the fights, but we want to see that next step. We want to see him step up and really carry this team.
I mentioned with this Elder Drag as well, Splyce still have that buff on them, so they are looking even scarier than they did before. But the worst thing about them getting that Elder was just this. Now Giants can't get it themselves. Yep. And Giants do have 3 dragons from that strong early game. So if they were looking for way back in, that Elder Dragon would be a huge ticket for them. But now they have to fight against it. And all they want to do is wave clear. It's a bit easier to do that, obviously, versus non-baroned up minions. So should be able to stall the game out here, considering as well there are no outer towers for anyone to take. Until, of course, what happens in 7, 6, 5 seconds from now.
You have to keep counting. You have to finish the countdown. Equalizer's going to come out. You count it down to the team fight. Odoamne, the one caught out in the midst of it all. He's down, and Giants find a pick in their jungle.
So what happened the last time that a team found a pick? Thank you. I intended that as always. I'm a 50-50 type of player. Either I'm right or I'm wrong. And there it is. But the last time that there was a pick from a team around the Baron area, as Baron was up, we all know what it resulted in. And let's see whether Giants can do the same thing and go for this Baron after. But Odoamne, we've talked about the disrespect surrounding Odoamne with people not respecting his engages. This time it was him not respecting Giants' engage. And even though he is tanky as that, he still can find his ways to fall down in these team fights. And looks like Giants just going to turn this that pick into another stall tactic here, not going for anything, not really going for that Baron. Which you might think, oh, Giants, come on, just go for the Baron. But it's still difficult 5v4 to go for this one. And Splyce, even without Odoamne prepping around that vision, you have to think this is another objective that Splyce will be looking for any minute now.
A major issue, though, for Giants is the longer they stall, the easier it is for Splyce to survive fights against them. We've always talked about Rumble being someone that falls off as the game progresses. He's got a Void Staff now and a Spellbinder, so does have some damage behind him, but he is starting to fall off. And then you've got someone like Betsy, who's trying to assassinate a backline against a Zhonya's on Kobbe and the Killer Instinct shield as well, and the Stand United. It just becomes harder and harder for them to find this perfect fight, and you're so much more reliant on Djoko and Steeelback to get that AD damage out through the fight.
No, I absolutely agree. It's really difficult if you're Giants to find success in these team fights when Kai'Sa, I mean, we mentioned with the Kai'Sa pick in the lane phase specifically, you got to abuse that Kai'Sa with not being so strong early on, and Steeelback and Nisqy did that. Really good stuff. But now we're not in the early game, and this is why you had to abuse her early, because she's at the point now where, I mean, what was that W she did on Betsy? Do you remember? Like 5 minutes ago, and did like 80% of his health?
It's a lot of HP that he lost because of it. And
yeah, she's scary.
And it's good stuff from Splyce as well, because they are playing around the fact that they are more used to these standard meta compositions with a marksman. You can't call her an AD carry, she's building magic damage, but they've been able to stall out the game a little bit. The engage comes in with the equalizer, Odoamne down to half HP, Hexagon made him used by Xerxe in the back line, but Betsy's the one that gets the damage down. Xerxe falls into the GA. Giants don't really have too much of an engage, but the True Shot Barrage into the rake is exactly what they need, and now they're turned straight onto Kasing. 2 kills for Giants, a perfect team fight for them in the middle of the lane. Oh, Nisqy, you beauty! Takes down one, hits another Sleepy Trouble Bubble, he's going to jump forward. Oh, perfect. Oh! Sits through the void and finds his mark. Kobbe and Nisqy with a poke.
What? That's not, she's not that kind of champion. Why does that keep doing so much damage?
You can do whatever you want on Kai'Sa. AD, AP, poke, who gives a damn?
That was ridiculous. And for starters, we thought that was going to be a really good fight for Giants. I thought they'd kind of blown it and gone a little bit too far, but holy moly, that was... Man, this game is actually a lot more... It's tense. It's ridiculously tense.
It's
so
so tense.
So what?
But it felt like after Splyce got the Baron, you were like, cool, okay, Splyce going to close this one out now. Giants missed their chance. And then somehow they find a fight, and somehow Splyce turn it back onto them. Let's have another look at it, because it starts off with Splyce maybe being too eager.
And I thought this red carpet was really poor here, because it should be going down into the base of Splyce, and I thought that might actually lose Giants the fight. But as the fight goes on and Xerxe goes a little bit too far forward, his team's not quite able to join him, and this combo of the Ezreal into the Talon rake was quality, and Kasing a bit too far forward. Okay, nice. Giants can win this fight through mistakes from Splyce. Or how about one shot in Ruin before the Lamb's Sprite can go down with poke? How about doing something similar? This is absurd. They honestly they just pick up those exit frags. That is actually insane. That is honestly insane.
It's been a while since I called something dirty in League of Legends. This combo is dirty.
That is absolutely foul.
You get 6 stacks onto Kobbe on that Ginsu's, and then you can just do whatever you want from long range. Disgusting overall. Splyce now, 3,000 gold ahead. Doesn't matter that much, because Baron's on the cards. Elder Dragon up in 1 minute and 40 seconds as well. We have to keep our eyes on that, because Splyce already have a Dragon in their back pocket. They've already picked up 1 Elder. If they get the second, you have to feel that is game ending. We'll keep our eyes on it. Here's Ruin with the flank onto Xerxe. Stops him in his tracks from the wall drive. Hexagon made him use as well, but Betsy's on that backline. Goes for Nisqy, can't get him. Teleport coming in from Odo as well. Giants only able to catch up one. They already get Xerxe though. Steeelback with the snipe, and Giants fighting another fight in the mid lane.
But they're so split up in this fight. We were saying about how it's hard for Giants to actually get in these team fights, but it feels like these last 2 fights have honestly not really been as grouped as they should have been, especially in this one here, where they just catch people out of position. And Giants, what are you? What team are you guys?
They're the late game kings! That's what I hear, and that's exactly what they're doing. This is the longest game of the summer split. Previous was Roccat versus Vitality at 46 minutes and 31 seconds. And you know where kings find their crown? In the
Are you allowed to say that word?
Oh, no. Giants going to start around here as well, looking for their first of the game. Only took them 30 minutes, guys, but eventually they find one. Kobbe might go in for the engage, and Nisqy flash away from Nuxalot, but Kobbe can still chase, lands the Void Seeker. Nuxalot goes goodbye.
Oof. But they finally get the Baron, and I like that little pop-up stat there, the quick stats. But so here it is. Ruin's going for the flank, and focusing Xerxe in this situation is a good idea because he has no Guardian Angel. There's a reason why he bought that GIA in the first place. It was to avoid going down when he gets initiated on. But look at Kobbe in top, and Odoamne as well. Odoamne is not in this fight whatsoever, and Kobbe, to a similar degree, not in it, just because of his positioning. And yes, if you split the Splyce team comp there, it is a lot easier for Giants to win these fights because Talon comes in, skirmishy champion. Ez as well, it's easy for them to bring down the side of Splyce if they're split up. And now we actually got a pretty solid game on our hands here as Splyce are looking for this Elder Dragon.
This is second Elder.
It is.
This is a massive buff for them and they get it.
But why did Giants give that one up?
I am not 100% sure.
They do get the Gromp, and Gromp is a bit rotund, but I don't think it's quite at the same
It's
way.
not fat enough to sacrifice.
Exactly.
To take.
To the low
sacrifice
gods.
for Elder Dragon, yeah, it's true.
Interesting one. Is there a quick stat for how many Elder Dragons have been taken? Most Elder Dragons in the game?
I don't know if this is the first time this split we've had 2 Elder Dragons in a game. I'm going to put myself out there and say it is.
It might well be.
Well, 2 Elder Dragons from the same team at least. But
Paging hashtag quick stats.
Hashtag quick stats.
What is the most amount of Elder Dragons?
It's actually quite apt because Trevor is doing our stats today as well. So he can tell us. Quick shot. Make sure you tell us if it's the first time we've had 2 Elder Dragons.
I'm a nice, inclusive guy, so we've got to make him feel like he's still part of the broadcast, even though he's behind the scenes doing the stats today.
He is part. I mean, that's the most important part of the broadcast a lot of the time. If they didn't do their job,
no, absolutely.
I
meant like on air, whatever. So I'll try and be nice. You throw me in it, mate.
It's not actually the first double Drake. We'll find out when it's happened before this split. It has to be in that previous game of the Vitality versus Rocket one, because otherwise how's the game gone on long enough to have the double Elder Drake come up? But Splyce do have it in their back pocket. Giants have the Baron once again, playing that stall tactic, waiting out the Elder Dragon.
And that is the worst thing about losing this Elder Dragon is you have to kind of now waste your Baron as well. Yep. And you finally got that Baron. It took you 10 years to take it. You finally got it down. But now you have to stay in your base. I mean, just look at their positioning. They literally have to stay in their base because you have to respect the fact that if you step forward here and you get in a fight, you're going to lose it now because that's the second Elder. It's strong.
I mean, the good thing for them is everyone's pretty much fully built. Like, you've got boots, maybe if you want to sell those, you can sell them, but losing your jungle camps doesn't matter too much at this point because you're just losing gold you don't need anyway.
Yeah,
you can see the poke coming down on Steeelback, half his health from a Prey Seeker. Kobbe's going to step forward towards this tower. Mid lane inhib is on the menu as well. Splyce will take the inhibitor tower down towards that bottom lane. Ruin trying to clear out the mid. Splyce with 4 members here pushing forward. And you can see they will get the inhibitor down towards that bottom lane. Giants unable to find an avenue of attack.
There's a free inhib for Splyce when Giants have the Baron buff. I'm not looking forward to seeing what that Baron buff power play is going to come up in 7 seconds here, but woof, I mean, Djoko taking a huge amount of poke as well. That's just the W, I'm pretty sure, from Kobbe as well.
That's
Prey
so
Seeker
disgusting.
is chunky.
So much damage coming out from him. That Elder Dragon still ticking over, second inhibitor. And as you say, giving up the Elder, they just have to give up their entire base. Giants completely on the back foot here. Doesn't matter that you get the Baron because there's no minions to be buffed up anyway.
Giants won 2 fights in a row, got the Baron, and still somehow looked like they just hard lost the game in the last 5 minutes. And all that happened was Splyce walked up to the Dragon and were like, cool, let's take the Dragon. And they got the Dragon, you know, there was nothing to it. That seems like a huge blunder, really, from the side of Giants. That's
great stuff from Splyce. You have to give them credit. They made the call. They were like, we can go for this, we can catch it. We've got good vision control. Honor your jungler at the end of the game. Be like,
great shot calling. Absolutely. Great shot calling, and obviously, you know, there's 2 sides to every coin. If we want to criticize Giants for giving away the Dragon, like you say very rightly, we should also praise Splyce for their ability to get into these into these objective plays and just take them away from Giants. Their objective control this game has been very good, and there's only 1 lane now for Splyce to go down. There's 1 lane for Giants to defend. This Elder Dragon will be expiring pretty soon.
It's about a minute left on it, maybe a little bit less.
And Giants just want to hold out for that as well. Like, get that off and just keep this 1 top lane up. I mean, if you lose this, then oof.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago I researched how many times you win if you lose all 3 inhibitors. It's less than a percentage. So really? It's like 0.02% or something that you are likely to win. I'm not sure if those numbers have updated since I researched them.
What if the other team also has no inhibs?
Well, that would be a different... I didn't look at those numbers. I'm sorry. I do not know those numbers off the top of my head, but I do know that Splyce are going for the 3rd inhibitor, and Giants' chances of winning the game have drastically decreased in the last couple of minutes. Kobbe with the poke. Djoko has to dodge away from it up towards the top side. Now only the Nexus towers remain between Splyce and their 4 and 5 scoreline at the halfway point of the split.
There's a lot of poke coming through here as well from Splyce. I think a lot of the... Oh!
goodbye, Nukesalot! Ignite not enough, he flashes, but the first Nexus tower will fall. Betsy almost caught off to the side as well. You said it was a lot of poke. That was a lot of poke straight on towards Nukesalot. Still healing up in the base, as is Betsy.
A huge amount of poke on Betsy as well. It looked like he only lost maybe 200-300 health. That was through his Mortimer's shield. That, honestly, this is looking grim. How do you defend this from?
Elder Dragon about to expire on them, though. You have to go for the fight. You have to get the equalizer down. That's exactly what Giants are trying to do. Ruin steps forward. There's the equalizer. Doesn't catch a single member of Splyce. And now you see the turnaround start. Kobbe hits one brace of Void Seeker onto Nukesalot. Aims for the second, but Steeelback tanks it up. Kobbe's just like, yeah, I've got 6 stacks, baby, and I'm going to use them. Second Nexus tower goes down. Splyce looking for the finish line.
I can't believe this game is going to end this way. So much poke coming down.
Betsy does get the shield right at the last moment. Xerxe able to get away himself as well. Ruin almost dead towards the side, but Splyce just focused the Nexus. You can just take it. Giants can't do anything against you. Lamb's respite keeps Betsy alive for the moment, but Kobbe is dominating, and Splyce take the Nexus and take the win.
What a wild game. Very suiting for the longest game of the split thus far, and huge credit to both teams, honestly, for keeping us entertained in that one. The coaches, I tell you, ain't looking happy coming out of that tunnel.
They're not entertained. They are not entertained at all at the end of that game. Lots of things that both teams could have done to close it out sooner. Lots of mistakes made on either side, but Splyce come out victorious. And it does mean they're 4-5 at the halfway point of the split.
Yeah, and Splyce really needed to win this game to prove to themselves and to the rest of the teams in the European LCS that they are the same team from last split. They can be that same team from last split. And that was an interesting game. I'll definitely put it that way. And honestly, I think for me, the most surprising thing about it all, the way it ended. It was just Praise Seeker coming down from Kai'Sa. It was the Paddle Stars coming down from Zoe, and they generally just poked and poked and poked until they won the game. Crazy.
I mean, it worked out for them. If you can get 6 stacks, if you can get the Paddle Star. I don't think we've ever really seen Kai'Sa utilized in that way before. Like, I've seen Void Seekers do a lot of damage, but I've never really thought of just like stand back and press W and you win the game.
Well, Giants didn't have a full tank either, which is one of the reasons why that poke was so hard to deal with, because whoever it lands on is a good target for that poke, you know. Like, that was just crazy. I mean, look at these stats coming through. Just Giants really had a good control over this game, but, and I mentioned it before, it never really looked like they were playing like they would win the game, you know, like even though they had that gold advantage, they never played like they had that gold advantage, you know.
All right, let's check out some of the highlights from the longest game of the split. These are brought to you by Acer Predator, and I just want to come... Oh, no, we're not actually going to have a look at those. Well, I'm waiting for a second, apparently.
Maybe we are.
We might have a look at those in a second. My apologies, I had producers talking in my ear. Caught me off guard ever so slightly. Let's talk, though, about Giants on the other side, because they had the early game. You felt like if they were proactive like they were against G2, they could have just closed out that game pretty early.
And they looked like they were on track to do that, and they did get themselves that lead in the early game, and they were in a good spot to do just like you said, but the only difference was they didn't do it.
Yeah, that's it. But then they had the late game. It was like, oh, you did it. You got the Baron. Great stuff.
Yes, it was so back and forth.
And then they didn't go for the Elder Drake, and maybe just a couple of lapses of concentration. We are going to have a look at some of the highlights from the longest game of the split, brought to you by Acer Predator. And this was the bot lane dive where we kind of thought it was all going wrong for Giants.
Yeah, and this is... They went for this play even though their Ruin Rumble did not have teleport. You can't really do that. That's kind of cheating. But this is where Ruin is involved in the fight. Gets a really nice red carpet, and it just... The position, the geographical position in the map of this fight means that it's so hard for Splyce to win it. And Odoamne not being there either to give his team the support. I mean, that's 2 fights that were 4v5. And I mean, this one as well was where you get these early kills from Giants, where they found these picks, and then it was just like, wait, look at this poke.
Yeah, you thought they were golden.
Yeah, they thought they had it, and just absolutely not. And even here, just more poke after poke after poke. You can see the engage going topside, but that's not even... I mean, look at that. Half health on Nukesalot. He goes down. Rumble as well. Half health on him too. It's just absolutely so difficult for Giants to play this game, and for me to analyze it as well. Like, how do you analyze a game like that? I loved it, but...
It's a typical Splyce Giants game. Like, Splyce in spring always wanted to get to the late game, always wanted to play those late game team fights. It worked out for them. They had a slight stumble near the end, but they were able to win it. Giants are good in the early game. They do stuff, and then they just don't make the decisions that they need to actually close out games.
That was definitely the difference between Giants and Splyce in that game as well specifically was that Splyce were actually good at that. They got advantages that were given it, and they actually turned it into something. Whereas, like you mentioned, with Giants, it felt like they did the hard part, which is get themselves in the position where you can then go on and win the game, but they just didn't really comfortably ever take that first step.
It's true. If you saw a performance that's, well, the next step, as you say, if you saw a performance that stood out to you, be sure to give us your player of the game at LOL eSports on Twitter. It's Odo, Xerxe, and Nisqy, who are your options this gamer. Anyone you'd pick?
I will go Nisqy out of those three.
Yeah?
I think Nisqy, yeah, just...
When he gets Zoe, he just seems unstoppable.
Yeah, there you go.
It's pretty disgusting, as we said. After the break, DeFisho explores the history of Nukeduck, the man that went up against the unkillable Demon King Faker himself back in 2015. We'll also hear from Nisqy, so be sure to stick around.
Well, let's not